Yanko lawyer Kwame Adofo. Lawyer Machana pay.
Lawyer,
the country has become interesting.
It
has become interesting. With this current, yes, it's
interesting.
And no, I mean, so when you break here, honorable Adofo, in fact, leader, Obi addressing the leader, crab, Obi can say, was it majority leader? Or what are you talking about? Yeah, can say the Constitution, Article 97, 1G and H. Yeah, the home come up. The ruling by the Supreme Court. Say speaker now say the ruling of speaker no stay of execution no menim a lawyer for the bit say Supreme Court ni ho kwan. You're a constitutional lawyer. What do you make of that ruling?
I'm sure no chief for no helpful. Let me say a law is presumed valid until it's been set aside. Oh. Hello.
Me wa hapa metonka.
Aha. Say you pass the law, and as a court interpreting law, it is presumed to be valid and as a legal until it is set aside. It is Supreme Court atasa. Ebinum ntiasie. Omo say Supreme Court got it wrong.
But this is the case I'm running. You're interpreting you. It's just that somebody has sent an application to the Supreme Court.
Exactly. And application no ye based on a substantive case on your corner at the Aquacoto Court. Na yenye ne once so and it's only according the court. You will be a friend injunction normally, yani city. But where the almost a key stay of execution. Stay of execution, I just say. Ushe yamfana say Obiako court. With the court here, but we are my back to way. Near a sentence. A sentence, the man could view Kobaba home. Then I will pronounce sentence and I will go straight to prison. But it will be key application for suspension of the sentence. And no, court with back as okay. They suspend the amount. Maybe a 2 weeks time, I beg your punishment.
I think, sir, ABS America recently, there was one man who a man handled neba. Emma Nanka say executing the court at the stay of execution at the back.
It's the usual normal practice. Say the court can suspend the orders. Say our month continue. Court of more speaker a union continue was suspended. Think as was. Near say and be a speaker will to me. So we declare it be vacant. I want to assembly.
Lawyer, but lawyer Kwame Akufu stood in the Abba say he knows that for a fact if there's a court na ebia the judgment be bad, then you can ask for a stay of execution. But here is the case where it's an autonomous body, as in Parliament, Speaker, and now or then the muaye the Abba fast I don't know if I stay of execution obey.
I'm at it, and I'm ready. The opinion, no. But Supreme Court because all opinions don't matter. So if you disagree with it, because Supreme Court they could challenge it. They argue opinion. They advance your opinion. Yeah, whether they will accept say, oh, in fact, you are getting because you are probably correct. They can always change their.
But the law is the law. Emra constitution, so your constitution. Yes. In this case, a big cry said, "Or more tradiana, a war and school, and I said the Supreme Court Becani Befa."
And the name of Supreme Court today, they are entitled. It's only courts are we entitled to depart from their own previous ruling. All other courts are not allowed. But Supreme Court today, they are the only court that is allowed to depart from their own previous ruling. I don't know what the American has here.
Yes.
There are some
someone to be shamra, no more samran.
There are some cases there. Their previous position has now been changed by themselves. We got it wrong in this case. That position is no longer good law. And this office say the Supreme Court is wrong. Go back to them and tell them to change their position because there's nothing to be said. Near Hadi. But as we speak in India, almost the decision pending. I'm so more 2 weeks.
Yeah, there were 3 arms of government.
Yes.
3 arms of government, no, legislature, any judiciary, obiade ne ho.
Correct.
So people are wondering, say, at what point will one cross the other? Because the legislature didn't know. Any speaker. In fact, when the president is not available, the vice president is also not in the country at the same time. Both have gone out. Yes, swear in the speaker of parliament before they will come and swear in the chief justice if the speaker is also out of the country. See, and that's why the now majority decided to do a press conference and said they will not take what Supreme Court.
Look, that is the political position they are putting. I mean, I'm just trying to explain to you.
Right.
The legal position, okay. When the Supreme Court makes orders and you disagree with those orders, you go back and say, my lord, you got it wrong. Your decision is per inquiry. That's then motion say you did not do it that way and get the Supreme Court to change their position. Now you are asking me about the separation of powers.
Yes.
It's true. So, the executives are separate, the legislature separate, and the judiciary. However, the executive and the legislature, it must be in line with the law. And the supreme law is the constitution. It is so big, and the court say the judiciary. I remember say the parliament here, the winners won't pass a law now. Only the court, the court in your day. They assure them not as asking the open. And so, chairman parliament making a decision here. As another court. Now, from your kufu argument, my kind be my follow so. But I said there was another case after Speaker declared almost 16. There was another case. Yafare. Based on Speaker decision. And after that, and almost seeking urgent application for stay of execution. And because they looked at the circumstances and said this is an urgent situation. Let's hear it. And whether or not they are wrong. Look, I don't know.
What's the difference between this urgent application? Now, some are arguing that, look, there's a case pending, which is the LGBTQ plus issue in court at the moment. Supreme Court, Korea, the transmission of that Mrano Mayo of Parliament to the President for his assent. Now, they jumped onto this issue, and this issue has been dealt with swiftly, as in they've passed the judgment that stay off this case till we are done with it. Can you interpret or explain to us in situations like this what could be seen as urgent?
Look, there are more cases in the Supreme Court as we speak. Now we don't know. But I know some cases it is already languishing in line in the Supreme Court. So the question is why this one being treated more urgently?
Yeah.
The answer is because they looked at the constitutional nature of the case and its implications it will have on the whole country. Just imagine, Constitution is saying under Article 99, only the High Court can declare a seat vacant. Let's pick up Michael Quay. It will declare a seat vacant in 2020. Let's pick up Babing. I follow suit and declare 4 seats vacant. Meanwhile, the Constitution is only the High Court that can declare those seats vacant. Are you saying this is not a super urgent matter that the Supreme Court should come in? Of course it is. Because they are now...
That's the same Constitution, 97, 1G and H. And then the same Constitution that 99 is saying High Court. Baku supersede Baku, and I'm conflicting. I don't know. It confuses me a bit.
The difference, they say, Speaker, by virtue of declaring himself, say these seats are vacant. It means that the Speaker has now become the High Court, as required by Article 99.
Right.
That's the problem. So what I say, because instead of if it's true, those violations under Act 9. As a speaker, refer my High Court. Tell me whether, in fact, the seats have become vacant. When the speaker
but when Parliament sits, it has some powers.
Yes, they do. But powers cannot see the Constitution. One after all. It is saying now, Speaker declare almost seats no vacant. Are we saying that the Speaker is now on the High Court? This calls for constitutional interpretation where the Supreme Court will come out. The Speaker be able to declare seat vacant. Or a constitution under Article 99. Only the High Court can declare seat vacant. Such a case is urgent, super urgent. It has to be heard.
So, OSHA Article 97, tenure office of members. I know. And now, 1, a member of Parliament shall vacate his seat in Parliament. A, upon a dissolution of Parliament, or if he is elected as Speaker of Parliament, or if he is absent without the permission in writing of the Speaker and is unable to offer a reasonable explanation to Parliamentary Committee on Privileges from 15 sittings of a meeting of Parliament during any period that Parliament has been summoned to meet and continues to meet, or if he is expelled from Parliament. Now, Mekaisa Adjoasa Fomo, when Japan, any no, it was Henry Cote. Omumi and Sake Sco PMU, our Privileges Committee, chaired by Joe Seusu. I remember some way by Emma, they called for a meeting. They even tried to call Adjoa on Zoom because they wanted to deal with it. So they have to probably Mrawe or met me. I enforce say they are going to declare their seat vacant. I don't know. Sa committee also doesn't have the powers of the High Court, and if so be they couldn't have declared that seat vacant. Is that what you're saying?
That is my position. Exactly, that is my position. Say, and come on here, Krana, and that would mean that they have now become a High Court, and which I believe will contravene the Constitution. Because Constitution is clear. Say, at Article 99, only the High Court can declare a seat vacant.
And what is in the Constitution? You are telling me, say, if anybody, member of Parliament, ABA or took some number of days, 15 days, 1 day permission, no our Parliament or Nyare, you know. Now, like the Constitution doesn't allow the Speaker or any person to declare that seat vacant, like this particular 97.
So more refer my High Court. The High Court declare seat vacant.
That's your interpretation.
In accordance with Article 99.
There's another issue that Nra majority. Yera Adofo and Honorable Etremu say they would want to, as majority, at the Mrabeko Parliament. Now, omo esiki say omo ebe levy and betting tax at the freehold. As a constitutional lawyer, the Constitution states who? The President through parliamentary say friends afenyo marking, then the majority leader. At the moment, say majority leader nti aban emra ne ade nsisi Adofo na de beko. Say afenyo marking na de beko. I mean, there's confusion all over with this particular issue that has happened in Parliament. As a constitutional lawyer, how do you see this as well?
I mean, to say, government business, if you want to present it in Parliament, it has to be presented by the government. Now, the opposition is not part of the executive at the moment. And so you're going to introduce bill. But someone introducing no more passing poor. It will never be signed by the president. I don't know, so if you're following.
I'm listening, I'm following.
You have found some normal passing bill, no? That's a go back to president. The president will not sign. So I don't see any business that they can do. So
you are saying, sir, it's like that's not going to happen. They cannot.
Nothing will happen because of particular now, it doesn't become law until it's signed by the president. And I can't see them being able to pass any law that the president will sign. So all this will come to nothing. By that time, can you approve
privileges and immunities. Article 115, right? Also, there shall be freedom of speech, debate, and proceedings in Parliament, and that freedom shall not be impeached or questioned in any court or place out of Parliament. That is privileges and immunities, Article 115.
Yes, you can't say anything, just anything you like. Somebody will sue you. But also Parliament, the whole building, everything you say inside the building is privileged. And if you go there and you malign somebody, it's protected, it's privileged. No court will have jurisdiction to hear what happened in Parliament. And what I would do is I'll challenge you, say, and I want your Obapa, Pieba, Bontin. Never repeat it, but now make clear. Oh, about you. So what's near Madia, that is all crowd on your what do you find? I do not know. It is just a constitutionally provided, in order for everybody to be able to go and speak for their constituency, they should not be made to fear for themselves and not afraid that they are going to be sued. Any statement you make in Parliament is protected speech. It will be a thing for Uncle. They must over outside Parliament. Now, the general outside, but they are not make his press conference near the Nobia. Who can somebody can sue you? Sana said.
Right. Fenyo Markin at the court, Supreme Court, no, or say constituency no will suffer. He is not a member of Parliament in that constituency. In what capacity did he send that particular?
Okay. You see, constitutional interpretation here, you don't need standing. It has standing. You don't need to have a special interest in constitutional interpretation. Anybody at all who is a citizen of Ghana can go for constitutional interpretation without being concerned or being connected with the case. And because it's a constitutional interpretation, it doesn't need locus. It doesn't need to have locus to be able to take the case to court. I don't know what to get.
Yeah. Right. There's a case in cited to 4 against Attorney General. Any JH Mesa against Attorney General. That the court's decision was that any issue be a basis of Parliament is a closed case. Parliament can on its own decide on something. That law as Amrano ye revoke it and I say nobody has gone back to court to turn it. And no obi kana sa na usom saying.
In fact, obviously Parliament on its own can do what?
It's a closed book. That judgment was that Parliament's decision is a closed book. So and some are arguing through that nobody has gone to court to reverse that particular case. No? So therefore, what Supreme Court
can
did
always do what they want to do. You see, I will be we would court. The Supreme Court has every right to see whether what the speakers have done is in line with the Constitution or with the law.
What Supreme Court has done means that particular case now or judge or ruled and said Parliament issue be an case be or maybe be a closed book no. As a trace issue and as
it's not even the correct position of the law. Say Parliament can do what they want. The Parliament is subject to the Constitution. If it's any constitution, it cannot be a closed book.
And today say minority now majority echo Parliament Tuesday now as they've said positive defiance. They are not going to take what the Supreme Court said. Or even the Speaker himself decides that no, Supreme Court has spoken, but what next?
Well, I don't expect that to happen because that would be lawlessness. Because Supreme Court, if you now disagree with it, you go back to Supreme Court and argue why they got it wrong, and they should lift it. But for you to say you are going to ignore the Supreme Court, then you are opening yourself for contempt. I don't see why they would do that. I think if your mother,
say to me, speaker contempt.
Of course,
hey.
They can. Everybody is subject to contempt. Everybody. And then I don't think that to get there. I hope that they will respect.
I know tonight your parliament.
Yes. Yes.
Me da asma me na wase anapay. JBC person obi say question bako.
Wadaromo, does the speaker also have the power of
unfortunately.
Okay. Because contempt no. Speakers also bet me actually be contempt.
Onua 95.1 FM. 95.1 FM. Yeah,